Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell if you love to watch more cheating stories. Want to learn how to get back your ex? Check the link in the description box to learn how. Broken but still going. My story. After spending days reading all these stories, I felt ready to talk about mine. I'm pretty new to Reddit, so I apologize if I misuse certain abbreviations or make a mistake. This is pretty long, so bear with me. I, 24/F, have been with my so, 25/M, for almost 7 years. This has been my first and only real relationship since I met him my senior year of high school. And by first, I mean absolutely everything: first boyfriend, first person I've ever been intimate with, first love, first everything. At first our relationship was extremely rocky, and I blame it mostly on the fact that we were both two kids learning this whole ordeal of love. I had extreme trust issues. He was the cool guy with a bunch of friends, both females and males. I, somewhat insecure teenage girl, extremely overprotective. I swear I would break up with him every other month and he would always end up running for me. Well, within a blink of an eye we were already together for 3 years and realized how much love we had for one another. Close to our 4-year mark, we moved out together and started a new life in another state. Honestly, all this time we have been 100% faithful to one another. We have always had the same passcode to our phones. I could always go through his phone, he could always go through my phone. We share our locations indefinitely. Seriously, absolutely no trust issue at this point. During our 2-year mark, I came to realization that I was the problem and that I needed to work on my communication skills with him because he truly never did anything with anyone while we were together. Fast forward to 2020, a decent year up until the end, Dec 2020, when I found out I was finally pregnant. And I say finally because I have struggled with infertility. Throughout most of my life, I was always told I would need medical help to get pregnant because I would just not ovulate, had extreme hormone issues, and the list goes on. I waited about 2 to 3 weeks to tell him because I wanted to make sure this pregnancy was viable. His reaction? What I expected. He was shocked. He asked me multiple times if I'm 100% sure, and I showed him all the tests I've gotten done. He actually laughed because he couldn't believe it. He's known of my fertility problem. We had even spoken a few months back about probably starting to see how to start the process sometime in the next year or so. We decided we were keeping the baby. Jan-April 2021 things started off okay, then it got a bit rocky. Somewhere in that time frame, I found some flirtatious messages with an old coworker of his, nothing crazy honestly, and it had already been weeks since they last previously spoke. Also, keep in mind, we have been together for little over 5 years at this point, so I was at a stage that I barely looked through his phone. Only if I needed to look for an old message of ours, a pic, etc., I confronted him about it, had him delete her from everything, and that's it. That was resolved. Around this stage, my pregnancy was running smoothly. To me our relationship was solid. He had gotten an offer for a great job with an amazing pay, so this were absolutely great. Around March and April, I started having constant dreams of him cheating on me. In a week, I probably had them 2 to 3 times, and I would tell him and we would just joke about it. I paid it no mind. Whatever, they were just dreams. I even started checking his phone at some point, but very swiftly, not digging much. Then comes May 2021. He's acting weird, but in a funny way. The way our relationship has always been. We always use humor and jokes to brighten up things, but man was this weird. This time was strange. The man was sleeping with his phone underneath him every single night, literally getting all jumpy if I were to grab his phone, and smoking on a daily basis. My so didn't smoke weed like that. He would smoke maybe 3 to 4 times a year. And that was when we would be with friends, and I told him that it's okay. I do not like weed whatsoever. I've tried it once, absolutely disgusted with how it gets him and every person I know that does. Now being pregnant, this would tick me off a lot. We would literally fight a few times a week over the same bees. But we would make up cause I would just think it's just my hormones. May 12th, he told me he was going to go with his friend to buy some sneakers after work, so he was going to be home a bit late. Not a problem with me, I have his location and I know who his friend. Shit, the man even called me when he got to this location. May 15th, tells me he's going to go with his friend to the mall that's 7 minutes away from our home, so I let him go by himself so he can go have some bro time. That night he got home, was a little bit distant, but he asked me to go with him to the supermarket. We spoke and laughed, came back home, he went to go shower and I fell asleep waiting for him. Then May 17th comes. This day I argued with him because he lied to me. He went to go buy bud and kept denying it in my face. I didn't speak to him for 48 hours. May 19th was DD1, gets home from work, goes shower, shaves, gets nicely dressed, asks me when will I be home because he needed to use the car. I get home, he takes his keys and leaves at 6 p.m. From 6 p.m. to almost 11 p.m. I don't hear from him, but I did see him drive to an unknown address, go to a store we usually go to, stays there for a few hours, goes back to that unknown address, then comes home. I have my own keys to the car, so when I saw he got home, I hopped on the car and drove to a parking lot. That's when I saw someone had left an ice cream on my passenger seat, so I decided to check the dash camera. I felt my heart torn to pieces when I heard him laughing and an unknown girl talking. I completely blacked out. I put that car on drive and I sped home. I swear I even contemplated crashing the car on purpose. I wasn't even thinking about my baby at that moment. Unfortunately, my mom had warned him about my whereabouts and confronted him before I got to. I had been speaking to her all those hours and she sensed something was wrong. So he already had some B story ready for me. I ran to my room, picked up a bag and started filling it with clothes. I kept punching and shoving him out of my way, all while he kept saying, "Let me talk, you got it all wrong. That's a friend from years ago before I met you, let me talk, babe, relax, think about the baby." In one I sat and actually let him tell me his story, and I swear I believed it. I believed it so much that I lied in bed that night thinking of myself as some crazy psychopath jealous girlfriend. He thought things were fine, so we both lied in bed. He fell asleep holding me and rubbing my stomach, something he had not really done. I stood up because I just knew something was off. That's when I found it. The nude and sexy pictures the ow and my so were sending to each other. It was in his recently deleted, I guess he forgot to delete it from there. So I kept looking, the conversations were already deleted but not the number. He literally just had her saved under some guy's name. So I got up from bed, crying quietly, and packed my bag up. Called my mom, who asked my cousin to drive and pick me up. She lives an hour away from me. When my cousin was 20 minutes away, I decided to wake him up and tell him that I'm leaving. That's when he saw the text messages I sent him where I showed him all the things I found while he was sleeping. He was completely remorseful. He cried and asked me not to go, but I left regardless. I spent a few days away and he would contact me asking about how I'm feeling, is the baby moving, etc., etc. Eventually I returned back home. Why? I'm in love with him. I have built a life with him at this point. I was carrying our baby boy. I did set some rules before I came home, and I asked him multiple times to tell me the complete truth. When I came back home I wasn't looking at him the same anymore. But then I began to have some issues and ended up in the hospital a few times. He was there by my side, taking care of me. I returned back home and tried to have some normalcy. Then DD2, the past 4-ish weeks, he had me under the impression that they didn't have sex, so I was slowly trying to get over what I thought was just some sexting and meeting up once. This June night I was trying to sleep, but I just couldn't. The past few nights I kept praying and asking God to open my eyes to the truth because I couldn't keep living like this. This night I opened his phone and searched. Did the same search as I previously had done, but this time, I ended up finding the deleted messages. Absolutely everything. From beginning to end. And man, did my heart shred to absolute pieces. Came to find out May 12th, when he went to go shoe shopping with his friend, he went to meet up with the owl for the first time at her job. May 15th, when he went to the mall with his friend, they had sex in my car at the parking lot of the mall. May 19th, he took her with him somewhere, and up to this day I don't know what they did because there was no conversation saved from that day. I found conversations of him showing his friend the pictures and telling him all about it, and his friend hyping him up about his affair. His friend, who is also my friend. It has been almost a year and I had yet to recover. We are still together. We now have our beautiful baby boy whom we absolutely love. We seem like the perfect couple to everyone who knows us, but deep down inside, I am so broken. But I still have love for him. Not nowhere as before, but still something. He's an amazing father, has completely changed for the better, but I can't seem to look past his affair. Sometimes I can't be intimate with him because I look at him and all I see is him doing the same to her. In my car. In the car I drive every day. In the car that I put our baby boy every single day, and I try not to remember that a little less than a year ago, his father had sex with another girl right where I sit him. I had so much to look forward to. This was my dream car, I had always told him that I wanted an SUV for when we had our baby and that way our dog can have enough space. We happily bought our car brand new off the lot November 2020, and now that car is my daily reminder of his affair. He has asked me multiple times if I'd like for him to buy me a new one, that he will do it in a heartbeat, but I know our situation. We are good financially, but that would be unnecessary extra debt. We had been wanting to buy a home and we were saving to buy one until D-Day happened. Now there's no excitement in me. He wants to do so much for me, but all I can see is his infidelity now. Here are some of the best comments from our community. Love alone and a baby is not enough to make a relationship work. Your heart is still broken and your mind is readjusted. This is no longer true happiness. You should consider a break away from him to see what you really want, because from this post it reads like he's no longer the one. You won't ever get it back. In fact, this will only get worse as your life continues to die for him. You never processed the trauma he caused you, and now it's too late. It's been too long. He traumatized you when you were your most vulnerable. If I were you, I would begin to plan your life separate from him. You can try to change everything: car, home, friend, although it's a given that this guy needs to be out of your lives, but it doesn't matter. He's the trigger. There's now deep emotional trauma and your body is rejecting him. You care about him as the father of your child. But your body is rejecting him romantically. So this relationship will end. Or it will stay loveless, and that's a terrible example to set for your children. It's time to focus on yourself and your healing. You don't have to decide to leave today, but I would start working towards it. Because it's not fair to your child to continue in a loveless relationship. They are still young enough to adjust to a new co-parenting relationship. It's time you focused on your healing. And that means getting rid of the biggest trigger and obstruction to that, which is your partner. Are you a masochist? If the answer is no, then why are you hurting yourself like this? Love? A baby? Not reason enough to put yourself through so much turmoil. You're wasting your time with this man who disrespected you and played you like the fool, made you feel crazy, too, right? Think of it this way: you're staying with him and denying a potential faithful man a good woman. That's what you're doing. Any faithful man would be proud to have a woman like you. A faithful man will fulfill you and wait knee and heel for you. But you're deciding to stay with this piece of trash? Who cheated on you, lied to you, gaslit, and just, what? Obviously, you are in pain. He's not in pain, you are. He does not deserve you, after what he did to you. You're a husk of your former self and yet you still stay with him? He gets what he wants, he had his affair and he gets to keep you, but do you get what you want? A stable, happy home with a faithful partner who loves and cares about you and only you. Imagine, if you never found out about the affair, it could have lasted years, and I'm talking you both are married, multiple kids, and a house years. Then what? Think of it this way: your husband is cancer, that you just happened to catch early on. He's treated and now gone into remission. Who knows how long he'll stay in remission, do you? Most people like to rid themselves of cancer for good, yet you are welcoming it back with open arms. Save yourself the trouble. Find yourself a good man. Leave all this hurt behind. The fact that he cheated on you, shame on him. But the fact that you're staying with him while still in so much pain from his selfish decisions, shame on you. You can do better. Please consider separation. Once a partner betrays your trust, it's impossible to get it back. He may be doing everything he can to make up for it, but nothing will ever be enough realistically. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell.